Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with 60andMe. Thank you so much for being here today. 60andMe is a community of women who are aging beautifully and who still love to play with makeup and beauty products and are fascinated by new techniques and just wanting to look great on the outside and good and strong as they feel on the inside. Now, I love the world of makeup these days. There's so many options for everything and it can become quite addictive, to be honest, but I really do love some of the amazing face palettes that are being produced these days. And I got started on my face palette journey with one that I purchased last summer. And I want to share with you maybe another 5 or 6, 7 face palettes that I think are equally good, different in some ways, but all really contain the same elements of at least 3 ingredients: a blusher, a bronzer, and a highlighter. Now, as long as it's got those 3 things, you can pretty much do an overall face. You can even use the bronzer as an eyeshadow. Today, I did use a different eyeshadow cream, which I'm going to talk about in a second. I'll mention the other products like the mascara, the eyebrow product, and lipstick. Those, of course, you can't include in a face palette, although there are some that do, like a travel kit almost that contains that as well. But the ones I'm going to show you are powder face palettes that I think really work for older skin. And there are some techniques that you can use that work with a face palette, just to be aware, because powders can be drying, so you need to apply them in the right way and thoughtfully. Now, I applied my makeup today, and I'm using one of these palettes, and I'll tell you which one in a sec. And I did a technique with the foundation that Wayne Goss, who's a really great makeup artist, talked about. And that is how you, first of all, put a moisturizer. I use facial oil. It's called Growing Younger Gracefully. It's a facial oil that I've used for years. But to apply your foundation with a sponge. Now, people do like brushes, but today I used a sponge. And he talked about how you really, when your skin is a little older and drier, need to use the sponge to press in the foundation and this sounds like a long time, but like 5 minutes of actually applying your foundation and pressing it in, and then putting a powder on top of it. And these face palettes all have powders that you could use for that setting. And then there's a finishing powder that you can put on afterwards. But I just wanted to mention that though, because I think today the foundation stayed on really well. And these lines, of course, that we have as we get older and the wrinkles. Don't worry too much about concealer anymore, but I'm working on looking at some new products for that too. Anywho, let's talk about palettes, face palettes. The one that I got addicted to was the one by Terry, and I've mentioned this one before in different videos because you can see it's been very well used. It's a summer edition. It was called, I don't know if it had a name actually, I think it was a Brightening Palette. And I'm not sure you can still even get this one, but I mention it because it to me has all the elements of a great face palette. It's got a bronzer, 2 highlighters, a pinky tone and a more creamy gold, and then a beautiful blush. And I'm more of a pinky peach blush person, so you're going to find most of the palettes that I've got here are that kind of tone. But this by Terry one for me is the one I've got on today, and it was the one that I loved the most. And so this was what I tried to aspire to in other palettes that I purchased to show you. And I just used very light bronzer applied, with a brush going down this way, blush on top, highlighter both before the blush. I do this little technique of mine. I put the blush or the highlighter on first and then the blush, and then top it up with a bit more blush. And that gives you kind of a nice glow, a bit more highlighter at the top. So that's kind of what you can get from this by Terry product. But I discovered, of course, the queen, the king of face palettes, Hourglass. Now, Hourglass is probably the most expensive product that I've got here, but I want to show it to you because it is beautiful. And anyone that's used Hourglass powders will agree with me, I think, that they are just so finely, I don't know what the word is, they're just soft and gentle and very lightweight. And this one is it's a limited edition it's actually not, you can get it now, it's ambient, I think it's ambient quad. I'll put all the details in the section below, but this is one that you can get now. They come out every year with a different, sort of combination. There's lots of different Hourglass palettes, but this one has got the bronzer. It's got a finishing powder, which is what you put on in that period after the makeup that I mentioned and the foundation. And then this is your highlighter here and blush. So blush, highlighter, finishing powder, bronzer. This is probably, in a way, got more flexibility, and the feel of this powder is just incredible. It's beautiful, beautiful. The blush on this one I really love too. You can see it's kind of a mauvey pink. It's not as vibrant as the By Terry one, but this Hourglass product is spectacular. I would recommend that. And also, they also do singles, like this one, for example, is a blush that I purchased, just an Hourglass powder. It's not really, obviously, a face, but it's got different colors. They're gorgeous. This is, what do they call this one? Sublime Flush. But Hourglass is another great option for a face palette for older women, in my opinion. Also, I thought, well, both of those are quite expensive. They're in there like $40, $50, but you do get 4 products. But I thought, well, let me look for a different one that's maybe going to be a little less expensive. And I found one, and this is definitely, by, well, the judgment of many bloggers that are doing this, a duplicate or dupe for the By Terry. Now, this is a blush that's very similar in color. 2 highlighters, they're not the pink, sorry, yes, there's a pink there, you see? It's not the bright pink. Well, maybe you can see it better that way, yeah. And there's a golden highlighter and then a bronzer. Let me just see if I can do a comparison with the By Terry. I never actually have done this, but people are saying that this is such a duplicate that you can save a lot of money because okay. So the bronzer is, I could put them together. The bronzer, a little darker, but the highlighters are just very, very similar. And the blush, I would say the tone of those 2 palettes is very similar, half the price. This is $27. And I actually love this so much. It came in 2 different versions. This is called Pixie Nuance Quartet. This is Honey Nectar. And then they do another one, which I couldn't resist because I just love it more as much. And it's a pinker version, brighter pink in the highlighter. Bronzer's warmer, but this one is, maybe it's cooler. But they're a little different, but check them out. They're both Pixie, P-I-X-I, and this one is called Nuance Quartet Sugar Blossom. So Sugar Blossom and Honey Nectar are the 2 Pixie by Petra products. I would recommend those as options if you don't want to spend as much on the Hourglass or the By Terry. So Pixie is a great choice. Then there are some other ones too that you might want to think about that are even less expensive. They're drugstore brands, but I thought they were really great, especially this one. I'm gonna have to clean it up a bit because I use it so much, by Revolution. Not a fancy package. It's got a blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer. Really, really simple. But the blush on this is really, really pretty. Oops, the highlighter is probably more vibrant than any of the other ones. And the bronzer is a really nice soft color. It's warm. But this highlighter for me is almost more shiny than any other. And this Revolution Beauty, it's I think about less than $10. But I'm actually going to get another one of these as backup because from an economical perspective, that's a great, great option. Trying to get my hands clean for the next one. Okay, so the next one is similar. And I wanted to give you one other like drugstore option because I think that some people just want a blush, a bronzer, and a highlighter. And this is one by Rimmel. And if I can get it open, that's another challenge, isn't it, when you older? No, that's a stereotype, but it's true sometimes. This is a very similar idea. It's more of a peach blush. See, the highlighter on this one is just about as bright as the Revolution, but not quite. It's not as sparkly. It's more flat. And then the bronze on this one is quite light. So if you're starting off with this idea of a face palette and you want just something that's really just a light bronzer, blush, and highlighter, and you can put highlighter, by the way, I put it up on the top of my eyebrows as well, under my eyebrows, because it kind of opens up your eyes too. So the highlighter can be used in lots of different ways. And I actually played with this one using the bronzer and the highlighter as an eyeshadow. And by the way, just so before I forget, and don't forget, I'm using a cream eye product today. I just got it and I love it so much. It's Charlotte Tilbury. It's expensive, like $28, I think. But it's called, what is this one called? Rose Gold. It isn't real. I consider rose gold to be like a pinky color, but this is more of it's more of a peach. You can I just do this on the other finger here, over here. You can see it, I just blend it in. It's hard to see on my finger, but you can see it on my lids. But that's what I use today. I've really been into cream products for my eyes recently because I find with the wrinkles and sort of the folds that I have on my skin, on my eyes, it's better just to do something that's a bit smoother. So I did use a teeny bit of sparkle too from another palette, but that's pretty much what it is. Another option for you if you're interested in face palettes and you want one by a master, Kevin Aucoin. Kevin Aucoin was an amazing, amazing makeup artist. He's so well known. He died many years ago. He was a very young man, but when he died, but he's spectacular. And I found this palette in TK Maxx when I was in the UK. Now this is really a more expansive face palette than the ones I already showed you. The ones I've showed you already are just blush, bronzer, and highlighter. This is blush, highlighter, and then a number of eyeshadows. Now, the bronzer, I think that you could use this one here, which I have done, but it's got a bit of a sparkle. But this is a really nice palette. And if you shop in the States, if you're in TK Maxx or TJ Maxx there, and Marshalls or Ross's, you might find this Kevin Aucoin. These, I mean, just to deviate from face products, these eye products are unbelievable. I reach for these all the time. In fact, that's what's on the center of my eye. Not this one, but look at the color of that. So, so pretty. And then I'm going to do this one here, which is what I use today. And it goes really, really nicely with, where are we? And there's a white. This is nice for a base. So this whole palette is, if I had to grab one that had eyeshadows and a blush and a bronzer or a highlighter, I would do that. It's really, really lovely. That's a Kevin Aucoin. The other one that I randomly picked up was, oh yes, this Beauty Flash. This is with, I think this is Flower Beauty. It's a bit dusty. Yes, Flower Beauty also does one. And this is another one that's got more than the number of ingredients you might expect, or a number of features. It's got, let's see here. It tells you, it even tells you what they are. These are eye shades across the top, so very pale peach and brown. This is your bronzer. It's a really nice bronzer, actually, this one, I remember. It's darker, but cooler. These are blushes, and they're nice because one's a pinky tone and one is a peach. So peach and pink. Hope you're seeing these on my fingers properly. And then this one's the highlighter. And the highlighter is gorgeous too. So, highlighters can be used, as I said, in many ways on your eyes, on your above your cheek. But this is a flower palette. I think it cost about $18, so it wasn't super cheap. But Flower Beauty does some really, really nice products. And I would consider that if I was looking, again, for one that had eye shadows, blush, bronzer, and highlighter. It's got lots of different choices. I'm going to show you this one, which is, it wasn't a buying mistake. I deliberately bought this because I wanted to try these products by Moira. And Moira, it's called Unravel. It's a huge palette. And what I liked about it is it gave me an opportunity to experiment and to learn about Moira products because I was mostly interested in the eyeshadows, and they are lovely. I did a video on this, on Moira, on this palette, several months ago, but it's just to say that this is another idea for a face palette. I'll lift it up. You can see the eyeshadows all in this section here. And then you've got two highlighters, or three highlighters, and a bronzer. And that bronzer, it really could be a blush as well. It's actually quite browny, but it's still very pretty. And then you can use the highlighter in the pink. So there's a pink highlighter and kind of a very whitish one and a gold. You can mix it up to make a blush. And so I think that this one was very reasonable. It was less than $20 for this huge palette. It's one of those things that it's called Unravel. It's one of those things that you would keep it in your in your drawer. You wouldn't really take it on a trip with you. It's got way too much powder in it, but it's still an option for a face palette that is affordable and gives you highlighters, bronzer, and lots of eyeshadows. So that's what, how many, about 6 or 7, and those are the ones. I'm waiting on a Charlotte Tilbury one to arrive, which has been held up in postage, but I thought I'm going to go ahead and do this now. When that arrives, I'll do a special just on that, because it is, well, from everything I can see, remarkable, just an amazing, amazing palette by Charlotte Tilbury. So those are some face palettes that you might want to consider. Just to let you know, remind you, I used Charlotte Tilbury Cream Eyeshadow. I am using my CoverGirl Exhibitionist Mascara, my new favorite. I only put one coat on. I just love it. It's so nice. It's very similar to the Maybelline Falsies mascara, and also to the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. They've got a similar brush. I can show you briefly that. So it's got that kind of really thick brush, and I love it. So that's what other than the brow product, which is my Maybelline Tattoo Studio, something that I've used for years. Those were the 3 products. And then lips, I used a new product, which I am in love with. You're so lucky if you live in the States. You can get these at Target and Walmart and everywhere. I had to go through another, second distributor. But it's called Lifter Gloss. Yes, it's a big package, but it's a tiny container. But it's still beautiful, beautiful lip gloss. The one that I'm wearing is called Silk. Yes, Silk. And then there's also one called Moon, which is a little bit lighter, more like a glow. Then there's a range of other colors. There's Topaz, and they have a pigment in them. These are so fun to wear. They don't feel glossy or sticky. They have a nice shine. I'll put this on just so you can see. I can have one more chance to pop it on. Isn't that pretty? It's a kind of interesting smell too, but they are just gorgeous, and they are affordable. They are beautiful lip glosses that stay on. I mean, I wear mine with my mask, and yes, it does rub off eventually, but I'm kind of at peace with that now. But it's called Lifter Gloss, and I'll put the details in the section below. And if you're wondering when I say the section below this video, you'll see the word see more, and that's what you click. And it opens up a box, and it will have all the information about this video, the products and links, and if you want to take a look at them. So, hope that you enjoyed this face palette show. I really did enjoy doing it. I love the idea of a face palette. And now that I've gotten used to wearing powders in the right way and not overdoing it with powder, and applying foundation in a slower, more pressed in way, I feel like the powders are working great. So I'd love to know if you've got a face powder palette that you love. Please tell me. Got an itchy nose. That means I think I'm going to kiss a stranger. But anyway, do have a great day wherever you are, and take good care of yourselves. And let me know what you're using for powders, highlighters, blushes, whatever your favorites are. Let's share. Have a really great day, everybody, and take good care of yourselves. Be strong. Be safe. Bye for now.